Hmm. Hmm. There we go. This is good. It's off, and we are about to get going. This is view. It is admit. Admit all. That's great. And Tananarive will be on in a moment. She is here. Thank goodness. My baby is here. Ah, the simple things in life make me so happy. And we're going to be talking about something, things connected with that today. So, welcome to Life Writing Live. This is your genial host, Stephen Barnes. I'm getting ready for my wife to come in, so we will do our podcast intro in just a moment. Bum, 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 bum. There we go. Okay, so I am ready as soon as Tananarive comes in. So, what'd you say? Yes, yes, it is. It's 12 o'clock. She'll be right here. And I'm so happy to be doing this. It's a good week. Uh, all weeks are good weeks. Life is good. And as you know, the thrust of this show is to live your life as if you're a character in a story you're writing, and to write your stories informed by the things that actually matter in your life. You choose real things. So if you're writers or readers, this is a self-development program that's designed specifically for you. I designed it specifically for myself, uh, and have been teaching it for 40 years. It continues to evolve. The current evolution of it is a body-mind system. The Warrior Walk is where you can learn this best, and it's at www.warrior-walk.com. And we want you all to have copies of this. So if you go there, you see it, and you feel like you need it, but you can't afford it, let us know, and we'll get you a free copy. That is true for the people who are on this call. So let's see, Tananarive, are we there? Oh, she's coming. She's almost there. I will I will wait until she is on. I'm seeing some people I have not seen before, which is good. It's always fun. Okay, and there's Tanana Reeve and her note taker. Okay, sweetheart, I'm going to make you co-host. Oh,
Here I am. Let me let my Fathom recorder in. Uh,
oh, you did. Oh, you already did.
oh, I did. Okay. I don't think it's recording yet. Oh, yes, it is. Perfect. Hello, hello. There you are. Okay. Hi, folks. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh, I guess I need to pull up my little run of show thing.
Yes, you do.
Yes, I do. Just one second. Okay, here we go. Okay, and Rosebud, welcome to the Life Writing Podcast. We're married authors and screenwriters, Stephen Barnes.
And Tanana Reeve do. Talk about writing during stressful times, breaking into Hollywood, and balancing life.
Every episode, we'll share more tips on how to build a better life while you create your dream projects.
Even if it's only at the rate of one sentence a day. Life writing is the application of the tools of writing to life and the tools of life to your writing.
Okay, yay! I don't have the sound effects set
You
up.
don't have your sound effects. Oh, God. Okay. Everybody
I don't
unmute
have my
yourselves and
sound
applaud so we can make
shared.
the
I don't
sound
have
effects.
it. Yay!
Yay!
It doesn't sound as quite inspiring when it's not a full studio audience, but welcome everybody. You know, I just got to share. Oh, I actually do have to set up a sound effect. So let me get it set up in advance so that you stop sharing, that I share my computer audio. And because I want to do the what's going on.
Yeah.
because there's stuff going on, and I'm just gonna, where is that? Okay, here we are. So, Steve, what if we talk about what's going on?
Let's do it.
Woo! Actually, if you don't mind, I will start.
Please do.
There is actually quite a bit that has been going on. The theme for the past week, literally, has been elder care. I was in Atlanta for several days because there were two graduations. One of my nephews, Justin, congratulations, graduated from medical school, and Jackson graduated from college. So both of my sisters had graduation ceremonies to fly away to. I stayed behind to look at be with my father, who was getting out of the hospital. But when he was out of the hospital, it became quite clear to us that it was not time yet for him to be out of the hospital. So he was readmitted to the hospital, and I was overseeing that and his transfer to a rehab center, which he's never been in before. And it was a lot, all caps. And in addition to that, my aunt also has been in poor health and was hospitalized during the exact same time period. And I am the point person, refer to my earlier comment about my sisters being tied up with graduation. So I was the point person overseeing her care and trying to make sure she would have a safe place to go. And actually, we've been running a GoFundMe for my aunt to help take care of her housing costs while she's no longer able to take care of herself and until we can get her ongoing financial aid. And I am going to put that link into chat for people who are here live. But if by chance this does end up on the air and you're listening, my Instagram page, at Tanana Reeve has the link under my bio to this GoFundMe, which has
We can
been
also
a
put the
god.
link on up on YouTube.
Yeah, it's been a godsend. Just not to have to worry about how are we going to pay for her to have a safe space with the care she needs. And, in her community, which everyone doesn't get to do, and granted, that's not promised to anyone, but she is such a part of that community, and her support structure is so important to her that we just really wanted to try hard to make sure she could find someplace safe in her community, and we have. And because of the GoFundMe, we're actually able to pay for this month. It's just like, wow. I'm very, very grateful to everyone who has contributed, everyone who has shared. Her name is
T, you froze. T, you're frozen. You are frozen. Okay, let me tell her she's frozen. I need to go in the other room. She doesn't seem to know.
look at the GoFundMe page, you'll see letters that a diary rather, that Jackie Robinson sent them. This is national news when they were in jail. So Jackie Robinson sent them diaries. Martin Luther King sent them a telegram. I need to put that telegram up on the GoFundMe too. So it was a big deal. It made news. They did a whole tour with their mom because they were still considered minors back in, those days. They were under 21.
Freezing up, honey.
Oh,
Let's turn off Netflix.
oh, okay. Rosebud, I'm being told I'm freezing up. Maybe I'm taking up too much bandwidth. So I don't know if you all heard everything I said, but the GoFundMe link is right there in chat. And more of her story you'll find on my Instagram. And I guess, even though we're about to sign a non-disclosure agreement, we haven't signed it yet. No kidding. Waiting for me on
No,
my
and
way
I
home,
wanted to
like
comment about
this
that.
trip, and every day phone
Yeah,
calls, like endless phone calls
okay,
about the
wanted
two
to
health
comment about that,
situations. But
T,
when I
because
was finally ready to leave and come home,
can you hear me, T?
yes, I can.
Okay. The non-disclosure thing is important because we need to show it to our legal people. So I just
Yeah,
wanted to be sure to say that you're from time to time you're going to be asked to sign something like that. Never do that unless you have your lawyers look at it.
I
It's
do
one of
not
the
see
ways
you
that
on the
people can get
screen
into
now.
trouble.
for some reason. You're not showing up. You're a blank black space on my screen for some reason. Oh, there you are. So, what I was going to mention, I'm not going to say any details, obviously, because it's very clear they don't want us talking about it. But from time to time, Steve and I have done consulting work with various production companies, including Universal Studios, for the Candyman campaign, Amazon. I did for their camp. I gave them feedback on the series. Them. uh, so we have had experience as consultants, but it's been a while since anybody's reached out. So it was very nice to get this email from a director and a producer I will not name, and I will not name the project, asking if we would be interested in meeting for some possible consulting on a work that is extremely meaningful to both of us. It's like the next best thing to an adaptation, as far as I'm concerned. So yay for that. If I had I do have my applause set up now, so I can do applause. No, I can't. It went away. Anyway, I'm excited about that. And it was just sort of a reminder of how not only can you have acts in your day, like when you're in a busy time, especially a time of crisis having to do with caretaking, it could be bad news in the morning, good news in the afternoon, bad news in the evening, or good news in the morning, bad news in the afternoon, good news in the evening. It's like you have these acts throughout the day when you're in intense times. This trip definitely had acts. So it ended on a very bright spot, reminding me that I have a baby to return home to, meaning my husband, not an actual baby, thank goodness. My baby to return to, that we are still being sought after for our opinions about projects we care about in this very difficult town that is Hollywood. And I have just one more deadline out of the way, my Toastmaster closing speech for the Nebulas. It's not a secret that I will be the Toastmaster for the Nebulas, and I have to put finishing touches on my closing speech. But then I'm free of all the externally imposed deadlines, and I can get back to working on my novel, which I have written a chapter and a half of already. So I'm very excited about that. What about you, darling?
Okay. So let's see. Let me go central here. Spotlight for everyone. So it's been a very busy week for me too. We're shifting around some insurance things, trying to take care of business there. We have made a little progress. There are two different directorial projects and made little steps towards each of them this week. It's like, just, what is 1%? Just what is that 1%? And one of the things that I had to do was to talk to my manager, and I realized that I might have been too impatient. It's like, well, how long does it take for these things to happen? And he said that, the longest one he'd been involved with took 13 years. Now, he was not suggesting that I be that patient by any means, but it helps me to put it in perspective. When we, in the six-step life writing process, talk about repeating this process 100 times, because that's what we do. Write 100 short stories before you begin to evaluate whether or not you can have a career, because you want to shut up the voice in your head saying, if it hasn't happened all yet, it's not going to, if it hasn't happened already, it's not going to happen. You have to understand there's a part of you that is always going to do that to you. There was a thing I was listening to. There was an American pilot who was shot down over Vietnam and went into the Hanoi Hilton, the most notorious prison camp of the war, and he said something very interesting. He survived just 7 years of torture there, and he said that the people who survived the camp were not the people who died in the camp were not the pessimists. They were the optimists who said things like, we'll be out by Christmas. Then when Christmas came and they weren't out, they lost hope. That the people who survived were the ones who said, I can survive this, I can survive anything, and lived one day at a time, doing the best they could in that day where they were, acknowledged how bad the situation was, but did not tie their enthusiasm to any external marker. And this is what you have to do, whether you're talking about losing weight, or finding romance and relationship or building money. You have to believe in the process and take your pleasure out of being on the road, of being the person who can do the thing. So, that was really useful. I had that conversation with him yesterday while I was driving out to Larry Niven's house, where we are about to begin our next book. We got a really great review on our last book, which is very meaningful to me because I want to be sure that these works that are in the later period of my partnership with Larry shine. I would love to do the best book we've ever done together. I think that would be the kind of thing I want to aim at. Why should I aim at anything less than that? So there is that. Plus, I made really serious, significant progress on my next solo novel, which I'm doing it in an unusual way. My general way of writing is that I write through the entire project rough as a script. If it works that way, then I start fleshing that out into book. Once again, the whole thing rough. Then I keep going over it and over it and over it, reading it, having it read aloud to me by the computer, and making adjustments. And then finally, it begins to come into focus. This time, I want to move more toward the process that Tananarive uses, which is to finish a page and get it perfect before she moves on to the next page. Now, I had about 150 pages, almost 200 pages of the book before I went into the hospital last year. And then I realized that the book that I was writing was not the book I wanted to write, not the book I really needed to write. So I had to throw out over 100 pages of work and start over again from scratch, taking the core of that, of what I wanted to do thematically, and then shifting massively, including incorporating what happened to me in the hospital. It's like I figured it was so painful. It it cost so much in so many different ways that I wanted to get my money's worth out of this. Like I'm gonna make, I'm gonna make this pay for itself in my life. So one thing that happened was the creation of the Warrior Walk program, the rehabilitation, the psychological, emotional, and physical rehabilitation program that I used. The other is the complete restructuring of this project. So as of last week, I had done enough that I could see where the holes were in the first half of the book, the first two-fifths of the book. Uh, and I understood that if I can get that first two-fifths, third, somewhere in there, perfect, then it will function as a launching pad for the rest of the book. I will have established the characters, the thematics, the location, the poetics, everything. And so my commitment now, having it, is I'm going to get this perfect until Tananarive reads it and says, yes, you are ready to go forward. That I'm not going to give myself the power to go any further than where I've gone right now. I have to get this done. And this is a good thing because there is a different part of my brain that ordinarily kicks in when I've completely finished a book. When I finish the first draft of the book, I begin to look at different things in different ways. I've simply noticed that this is what my brain does. So I'm pretending like this chunk of the book is a complete story. It's a complete book. This is the only thing that I'm writing, so that I can start accessing that. And I ended up with about 14 short scenes that were missing. So I wrote those scenes as briefly as possible, sometimes no more than a couple paragraphs, sometimes a page and a half. But over the last couple days, I wrote them. So the idea is that I'm thinking about this, that if things work well, we might be directing a movie this summer. We haven't talked too much about what that is, but that's coming up. And then next year, hopefully, it would be directing The Keeper, going through all of the pre-production. We want to have extensive pre-production, so we know exactly what we're doing and how to do it. So if I anticipate those interruptions, then how do I keep going forward with the books? So the idea is at least a sentence a day. If I do at least a sentence a day on my solo book, then I'm good. But ordinarily, it would be 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday on my solo book, Tuesday, Thursday on my project with Larry. And that way, if I'm doing at least a page, if I aim at a page as my minimum, ordinarily with a sentence as my absolute minimum, I cannot go below that, or I have betrayed my trust to myself. Then I know that everything will happen, and my brain is starting to come up with ideas, and it's starting to. There's a sequence that took place at a summer camp when my character is about 15 years old. It's very, very important in this book, and I had not considered all the things that needed to happen there. And that summer camp, is Camp Round Meadow, that's the YMCA summer camp that I went to as a kid. It's also based on the camp I went to with the National Leadership Camp that was sponsored by the National Conference of Christians and Jews when I was in high school, where they would take inner city kids out of the city, and then we had a chance to meet kids from other areas and so forth and so on. It was great. And so I'm going to take those memories, and there's also a memory from another workshop and over here, and I'm going to combine them all to create something that really works. That has to really work because it leads to so many other important things in the book. So this week, I I got it done on a basic rough level so I can move it from one category into another. And that's really important. I also announced at the Los Angeles Science Fantasy Society that Larry Niven and I are working on a new book called SkyCon about a world science fiction convention being held in a dirigible traveling from California to Taipei, China.
So
And
cool.
yeah, it's gonna be very cool, and I can't wait to get into it. And those are the most important things.
So can I'm going to add my spotlight
Yeah.
because I think something you said will or won't segue to the larger topic you want to discuss today. You be the judge. But when you're juggling multiple projects, especially, I mean, sometimes they're work related, and you have external deadlines. Like this week, in addition to caretaking, I had the Nebula Toastmaster speech, the main speech due. I had an author's note for an Amazon original story I have coming out later this summer called The Battle of the Roundhouse, and the third speech. So I had a bunch of little deadlines that, in my mind, were preventing me from working on my novel. Now, obviously, Steve would say, be sure to write a sentence a day. For the past couple days, I have not done that, but I was writing a lot while I was away. I was trying to channel a lot of the hospital stuff. I happen to be writing a hospital scene, literally lifting things from life and putting them into my book. But I'm so sensitive to my lessons from the reformatory because that did take me 7 years to write. And I'm also keeping an eye on Steve because I know how long he's been working on this novel, right? It's been a couple good 3 years now, probably, right, Steve?
Yeah, it's
So
been it's been gestating. My original thought was to rewrite the Kundalini equation as if I was writing it today, but it morphed from there.
right. And I think it was an important morphing. I think it was actually a breakthrough morphing, but he still has an A and a B project. So my advice to you is the same advice I would give Steve. And it's the same advice I'm giving myself. When you have external deadlines, if you're not going to do a sentence a day on your work in progress, which is ideal that you would be able to at least find a little bit of time to like play around with it, write a sentence. But if you're not doing that, at the very least, set a deadline for yourself about what your next milestone is on your work in progress. Because I watched deadline after deadline after deadline take precedence over my own schedule for working on the reformatory, which turned into 7 years. And they were big deadlines. They were our first Twilight Zone episode together, our first horror noir episodes together for that horror noir anthology film. I mean, it's not that they were, but some of them weren't that big. Some of them were a 500-word essay, that I'm doing as a favor for a publication or this or that. But any deadline was more important than the reformatory for years. And I'm not doing that again. In fact, the reason my speech is running late, frankly, is because I was prioritizing my novel over my speech. And I'm going to I don't like blowing deadlines. I always keep in touch with people, and I had a good reason, by the way, for being late. My dad was sick, and I was caretaking, but also I was working on my novel. So, so that's what the word I'd like to give you, because most of us, even if you're a so-called full-time writer, which supposedly I am, although I teach at UCLA too, no one has the luxury of only working on their work in progress. Usually, that is what everyone dreams about. It's just not a thing. It's not a real thing. It's like a fantasy that you're
Now, life is what happens while you're making other plans.
exactly. And it's kind of this notion, I mean, it might even tie into your story about the prisoner of war camp, in some ways, because the optimist is expecting, well, next week, my whole week will be clear and I'll be able to work on my book. And then next week, you get a phone call on Monday and there's something going on and the week isn't clear. Whereas the pessimist doesn't expect to have a week clear. The pessimist is like, okay, my week is going to be hell. So, what days am I going to designate that I do my sentence if I'm not doing it every day, which is ideal? But what is your personal deadline? Do not prioritize life's ebbs and flows over your project, or your project will not get finished.
And one of your tests for this, every day you should do something that is hard. Um, every day you should do it deliberately. So you're building up the muscle to be able to make emotional decisions under pressure when things are hard. Because if you're trying to change your life and evolve your life, it's going to be hard. You're going to run into everything that has kept you where you were. You have to look at the obstacles as being the way you learn about yourself, like the weights in the gym or how you test yourself and how you make yourself strong. So if you will take a look at the most important thing, which we preach, is the morning ritual, what you do in the first 5 minutes, where you wake up and breathe and give thanks to be alive, and you go through your body and you give thanks that you're as healthy as you are, recognizing that if you were sicker than you are or older than you are, you would wish you were younger and in the current health situation. So being grateful for where you are gives you faith, and it's faith that allows you to keep moving when things get tough. So if you can visualize where you want to be in a year, and then visualize the kind of person that could do that. What kind of person could finish 2 books in the next year and direct a movie and a half, be a good father and be a good husband and be in the best shape of my life, for where I am at this point in my life. Those kinds of things. What kind of person can do that? You are practicing being that person every day. You're practicing being that person every day. That's going to tie directly into the thematic of what I want to talk about today. Because if you want to be a professional writer, you're thinking about not just writing your best work, but making money doing it. You're getting paid for doing it. In the adult world, adult responsibility is largely, do you take responsibility for your own upkeep? Do you take responsibility for paying your bills, putting a roof over your head, food on your table, as well as do you take responsibility for your emotions, your actions, and your results? That's an adult. That's what being an adult is. It's the point of conation. That's when you become an adult, when you take that responsibility. So if you're not taking that responsibility yet, that's what you want to do. And you can actually change that to, I want to be a joyful adult, which would be, I want to support myself doing something that I love doing. If you want to make a living doing something that you enjoy, it's going to cost more of your emotional effort than just making a living working at a store. Uh, unless if you're working in a store, then enjoy it
Yeah, you can
or
definitely learn to
change
enjoy
it.
working in a store.
Yeah, look at the people who seem to be enjoying what you think are trivial jobs. Keep your eyes open for them. About 1 out of every 10 of those people actually seems to be enjoying it, and start asking them, why do you enjoy this? And the answers you get will be fascinating to you, and they will help inform you. But being happy where you are, doing what you're doing wherever you are, is what you need in order to change the position that you're in. That that being in joy of it means that you are controlling yourself rather than letting the outside world control you. So that's your first 5 minutes. And now that relates to if I want to go back to Tananari, be sure that she's finished so I can go into what I wanted to talk about today. You're done? Okay.
Yeah, I'm done. I was trying
Okay,
to remove
great.
my spotlight gracefully, but it
Great.
didn't work.
Okay. I've been going into the question of how do you earn money because uh, there is a part of my teaching that has been specifically for writers, just like there was teaching that was specifically for martial artists, or most of it is for the general public. But I do have a specific intent right now, which is to close the wealth gap for Black America. That the inherited wealth and income gap and net worth gap is huge. And so if I can close that, if I can help that be closed for 100,000 families, I feel like I'm doing my work. I'm doing something that is important. I want that focus. So the very best book on the subject of this is the book Think and Grow Rich, written by Napoleon Hill, published in the late 1930s. And for almost 100 years, nothing has proven to be more popular and, in my mind, more effective. The number of extremely wealthy to do people who I have talked to who consider this book the best on the subject ever written. Huge. Octavia Butler, who was a dear friend, used this book extensively, and we talked about it a lot. Now, it has 13 principles of wealth, and they go from starting with a burning passion to both do something externally. I want to write books uh, and make money at it, a burning passion for the money and the thing you're going to do in order to earn it, the product or service that you're going to offer. It's best if you have a burning passion. If you're going to have an ice cream cart, have a burning passion for ice cream. Have a burning passion. You remember clearly what it was like to be a kid who had an ice cream cone at the zoo on a Saturday morning with your mom and dad. It was just pure joy. Okay? If you can do that, then you will make sure you have the best ice cream, and you're going to be a fabulous salesman of that ice cream because you're going to be radiating joy. Eat my ice cream and you're going to be happy. Everybody wants to be happy. That is a universal human need. So when you come from that to begin with, that's great. So there are 13 of these principles. And I have been going over each of them one at a time. Bang, 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 bang. And I strongly suggest that you do that too. But the ninth principle is called the mastermind. And that's what I want to talk about because this group right here is a mastermind. Writers' groups are masterminds. Your primary relationship, my relationship with Tananarive is a mastermind. My relationship with Tananarive and my son is a mastermind. A mastermind is two or more people united in a spirit of complete cooperation moving towards a particular ideal. That complete cooperation. That means that one person who you're totally aligned with is better than 10 people or 100 people who all want different things and have different values. It's very much, you'd rather have one dog pulling your sled that is going in the direction you want to go in than 10 dogs trying to pull in different directions. Your relationship with a significant other is your first and most primary external mastermind. But in order to get the external mastermind, you have to have the internal mastermind. That the 8 lines, the 8 principles of Think and Grow Rich up until the ninth are all about how to align yourself with yourself. You know, the second one is faith. You have to believe that you can and should have abundance in your life, or health, or love, whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. If you don't believe it, you're going to sabotage yourself. You're never going to stay on a path that you don't believe you can do because it takes work. And you're not going to work for something that you feel is worthless. If you wake up in the morning and there's nothing you can do that's going to feel better than laying in bed, you're not going to get it. You're not going to get out of bed. So you have to believe that there are things to do in life that are more important than just sleeping in bed. That you're going to have to work If you get up, it's going to be stress if you get up, but that what you're doing is worth it. A lot of people, it's nothing more than watering their plants and feeding their animals. But that's enough to get you going, quite frankly. That you can do things for yourself, you can do it for the outside world, but you have to have your beliefs, your values, your emotional anchors all lined up so that either your fear is driving you forward or your love is pulling you forward. You can be running away from fear or toward love. It's not that you're trying to remove fear from your life, but you ask what it is you're afraid of and what actions you could take to reduce that, and you let the fear motivate you. It's like I knew I was going to be seeing a bully. In 6 weeks, I was going to be seeing a bully that I was afraid of. And so I used that fear to beat the hell out of my heavy bag every day for the next 6 weeks. And when I finally met this guy and I knew we were going to end up sparring, I beat the crap out of him. It was wonderful. I had so much fun because I had taken my fear and used it to pull me. But fear is a great short term motivator. Love is the best long term motivator. Love is like planting seeds. Fear is like burning down a forest. Fear is massive. It gets you going. But you need both. You need the things that you put your fear behind you, your love in front of you, and run like hell. And this is the thing that when you do that, there are comic books and science fiction stories that suggest that we are in a world with multiple dimensions, and that we cannot see the creatures in the other dimensions because we're not at their vibration. That if that the person does a meditation or creates a machine that changes the vibrations, and suddenly you can see the monsters in the other world, and the monsters can see you. But the thing is that is a metaphor for a very true phenomenon. That the allies you need cannot see you until you're in motion going in the same direction they're going in. It is because Tananarive and I were both in motion toward a common goal that we saw each other. And it was like, whoa, who are you? Whoa, who are you? The mastermind is the only known way to compensate for a lack of intelligence, a lack of talent, a lack of ability. If you can create a unit with people with knowledge and resources you do not have, and you find a way to bond them to you and you to them through supporting them in what they're doing, giving them honest feedback, honest appreciation, your fealty, your loyalty, sometimes your money. If you need a teacher, oftentimes you buy your way in there by paying the price. I did that with my martial arts instructor, Steve Muhammad, and we became friends, and then we became family. With Larry Niven, I did not pay him. He was already rich. I wasn't going to give him money, but I could give him my honest friendship and my honest work. I could work my butt off. I could work harder than anybody he'd ever seen once I got the opportunity to work with him. I created a mastermind. What do I need in order to get where I want to go? I don't know how to get there. I don't have the resources to get there. But there are people who have already gotten there. And if I can connect with them, they can show me what I need to know. So we have Lifewriting Professional that we're meeting with tomorrow, where we're not oblique about writing. We are specifically talking about what it takes to become a professional writer, to make money at your writing, and then to make enough money to be able to do this as your primary source of income, your primary gift to the world, as it were. Finding at least one person to believe in you, you can put your backs against each other and take on the world. And then what you do is you first be sure that you have your own internal alignment, that you are your own mastermind, that you are an ally to your own heart, to the child within you, to your dreams. That the C in the magic formula, your child elder balance, that's the internal mastermind. That's what that is. That you're connected to the dreams and enthusiasms of your childhood with the wisdom of the person you're going to be just before you pass away. That with the clarity on what life is and how things work, that you line up the dreams of the child with the wisdom. And if you have a hard time doing that, Volunteer at a retirement home. Talk to those who are still clear of mind. Get them to talk to you about what ended up being the most important things in their lives. And you will find out that the most important things are simple things that have to do with the integrity, with love, with passion, with being the person you really are in the world. And I have, you know, the if one of the Stoic principles is to love whatever happens, amor fati, to love your fate, to not resent what happens to you or what has happened to you, to use it as a building block to make yourself stronger. And the whole event in the hospital where I died and they brought me back, I have clarity that at the moment of death, the only thing you're going to want to know is, were you true to yourself? Were you true to your values? Did did you act in accordance with virtue? If you did, you're going to be good. If you didn't, you will need to forgive yourself for having, you did the best you could with the resources you had. And the way you know if you've really forgiven yourself is if you've forgiven everybody else too. That you have to look at everybody who's ever hurt you and let it go. You can't take that. That camel doesn't go through the eye of the needle. You can't take that with you. And if you can forgive them and forgive life for being what it was, and you can forgive yourself, then you can die at peace. And if you're ready to die at peace, you're ready to live with power. That's what I said. That's what I was. So you align with yourself. You be your own mastermind, child, elder, adult. You then find the people who are most aligned with you. And out of that tribe of people, you'll find people who can be your lovers and significant others. That's the beginning. And then you go outwards from there to find, the resources, the money, the knowledge, the specific information, whatever it is. But just remember, when you read the Think and Grow Rich, the first 8 steps, you need no cooperation with anybody else. None. All you need to do is be really aligned with yourself. So stop saying that you're going to wait until the world aligns with you, until the world gets better. The world is always going to be what it is. It is your responsibility to bring your dreams to life, no one but yours. And the degree to which you feel like you need someone else to cooperate with you, that is the very degree to which you have lost your power. And whether you like it or not, what is attractive in the world is power, is congruence, is people who simply are what they are. It's like, this is all there is. If you like me, you'd probably like me better if you got to know me more. If you don't like me, it doesn't get any better than this. This is just who I am. And you need to have an attitude kind of like that. It's like, you can't be something other than what you are. So love who you are and offer that to the world with intensity, and you will begin to attract your tribe. It is said that you only need writers, artists, need 1,000 fans. If you've got 1,000 fans, you can figure out a way to make a living. You don't, in a world of 8 billion people, there is nobody on this that cannot find 1,000 people that are similar enough to you that if you find the way to express yourself honestly to them and talk honestly about the things that you have done in your life, your challenges, the ways that you failed and how you picked yourself up again, how you succeeded, how you found love, how you moved your way to service, other people will want to know too. Because everyone is asking, how do I reduce my suffering, increase my joy, and help the people that I love? If you can do that yourself, you have a product or service. You can either say, this product helped me do that, and you can buy this product for a reasonable price. Or this methodology, this service helped me do that. Let me provide you with this service. I am the old man on the mountain. I have done these things, and if you are walking a similar path, I can help you. The path of success should be aligned with the path of joy and the path of service. When you have figured that out, then the harder you work, the more service you give. And the more service you give, the more money you make once you've figured this out. So, that's all I wanted to say there. If Tananarive has something to add, this is her
Yeah,
time to
let
do
me
so.
just jump in here. I don't see my little avatar to co-spotlight. Oh, so you spotlighted me. Hello, everybody. So I did say to my mailing list that if anybody wanted to answer me any questions, ask me any questions, feel free to do that. And it might be that there is at least one name here that I haven't seen lately, if ever. And I just wondered if anybody had any questions for me.
Yeah,
Obviously, or for Steve, but just,
this is question time.
Okay, Jade, what's up? What can I tell you?
See audio. There we go. Can you see me or hear me?
I'm going to spotlight you. So yes, I can see. Just one second. There
All
you
right.
are.
I've got my own screen a little screwed up so I can't see myself. Okay, yeah, there
Okay,
I am. Yay, it worked. All right. So I have a question for you, Tananarive and
sure.
Steve. You gave me great advice, I want to say about 2 months ago, for putting together a proposal and talking about the outline and thinking about the goal, motivation, the conflicts of the characters and kind of where they start and where I want them to end. So I've been working on that, but this has kind of been my Bible for like a while now because
No, I've never even seen that before.
oh yeah, so like I know Save the Cat really well because I used it like 10 years ago to when I started writing romance. So I know those beats like the back of my hand, but horror is a little different.
Mm.
And the question I have for you guys has to do with delayed gratification and surprise and how to plan for that and what is in your head when you're planning out the trajectory of a book. So, like, here's some examples. So, a Stephen King example of Dr. Sleep, we find out like 7/8 into the book that Danny and Lucy are siblings. And it's like, oh, right? You're kind of like amazing. In the reformatory, we get a quarter of the book in and find out that Blue is a ghost, which was like really well done. And it gives you, as a reader, this feeling of like, that's a lot of fun, right? So I kind of wanted to get advice from you guys about what are some of the rules or the rubrics that you have in mind when you're thinking about plotting. And oh, no, 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 wait, that's the thing I'm going to pull back a little bit and show you in pieces or show you with different pacing. Do you know what, like, I'll give you a
Yeah,
little
yeah,
bit
yeah.
of that truth.
Janana and I have talked about this a lot, so I'm going to let her take lead on this question.
Okay,
Yeah, because I write with a very close point of view. So, in terms of surprises, if the protagonist knows, often the reader knows, you know, period. But not always. Like every once in a while, I just listen to The Good House again for an adaptation, and I would go into that sort of omniscient voice from time to time. Little did she know that the party would be over soon, or so, that kind of like just a little tidbit. There's a little hint. Like I'm coming out of the point of view. If you want to give the reader more information than the character has, that creates suspense, right? So when the reader has the information and the character doesn't, the suspense is all about, oh my God, how is this character going to react when they find out this thing I already know? As opposed to surprise, which is when the character and the reader don't know.
right.
And in Blue's case, I didn't know myself he was going to be a ghost. That was actually a suggestion from my agent.
Stop it! Are you
Yeah,
serious?
it was a
Oh my God!
suggestion. I like to think I would have come around to it eventually, and probably Steve would have also come around to it eventually, but
God.
because I had written it such that it was almost a seamless transition. Like everybody else is getting punished, but not Blue.
Yeah.
Like it was almost like the warden couldn't see him even before I knew he was a ghost. And in my mind, it was because he was little and small or whatever. But no. So yeah, some things you don't know, and some things are surprises to you, the writer. There are limitations to outlining. I mean, let's take it there first of all. I mean,
I hate it, but yeah, I agree.
I'm very curious about this Save the Cat, the horror edition, because I would love to know what they have to say about it. Horror is one of those genres that can be, I think, overly formulaic at times, because a lot of times people are influenced by what they're watching in films and television more so than reading.
Yeah.
So I would actually caution against overthinking it, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
You've been doing the work of the outlining. Is there a major surprise that your story hinges on? Is that why you're asking this question? Or do you want to create one?
That no, right. So my story doesn't have it. I have dual protagonists. It's a ghost story, and it centers around a squatter who gets in the house and doesn't know what she's dealing with. And then you also have on the other end the rightful owner of the house. So
Mm.
sometimes some of the haunting and violence that's happening is the owner, and
Oh, that's good.
I'd
sometimes it's
like
the
to I'd
ghost.
like to jump in here.
Sure.
Um, Tananarive and I have had a lot of conversations about this, and I would say the principle I believe is you withhold a piece of information until the moment that it will have the greatest impact on your reader. Your reader does not want to know everything. Your reader wants to have an emotional experience, and there
Mhm.
are times when holding it back will that giving it at the beginning, just like, well, I already know everything. What's it? That
Hmm.
holding it back can provide greater suspense, greater
Yes.
tension. They don't quite understand why the character is this way or that way, and then you find out that why is this couple this way, and then you have a flashback about when their daughter got swept away by a flash flood, and now you understand why the mother is paranoid about their remaining child going into the water, or why they don't make love anymore, whatever it is. That there are times when not knowing it is critical. And
Yeah.
yes, you can have a first person story and still withhold information. Agatha Christie did in her last Hercule Poirot novel, um, Curtain, or her last Miss Marple novel, because there was something going on in that book that she wanted to withhold from the audience, and she had earned the right to do that because she'd already written 100 novels, and so she knew what the audience was thinking about. And when she pulled the rug out from underneath you at the end, it was massive. It was one of the greatest surprises in the history of mystery literature. I mean, it truly was. That mysteries are all about withholding things. So the closer you are to a character, the more likely it is that that character's point of view cannot see everything
Mhm.
that is necessary. And it is also true that we do not always think about the fact that our child got swept away in a flood. We don't think about that every minute of every day. So
Yeah, they might have buried it or,
yeah, you have to move on in life. You have to stay where you are and see what's next. So it is not dishonest to do that.
but also
And
can I one exception,
yes,
well, one thing that makes it easier to conceal is if you're writing in first person, which you probably aren't because most writing is in third person. But a first person narrator is the storyteller and can make the choice about what to reveal and when to reveal it whenever they want to. So that's a little bit different for me than a third person, where I think at a certain point, Steve is absolutely right. We're not thinking about all of our traumas every day. We might not even be aware that we're having this reaction because of this thing that happened in the past. But I think if you push it too far, especially in an early book, like if it's your first book, then readers might feel like you cheated a little bit.
see, this is why you need to write and sell short stories first. Because in a short story, you get to experiment. Well, when do I conceive? How do I, what happens? There's this piece of information. What happens if the story starts, our son was washed away in a flood? How does the story go there? What happens if
We
you,
we we
it,
talked about this, and I definitely am an adherent to that. I think because
good.
I've started out writing novels, and just kind of writing and pitching novels, it's kind of like habit. But I do think that after I pitch this, I'm going to also do the short story version and a longer version of it
Yeah,
simultaneously.
experiment and
Great.
also
Yeah,
read different writers who have different approaches. So you can
yeah.
see, well, how did I respond to this? How did this work? How did they set this up? Right now, in the book I'm working on right now, I have a character who inherits a diary from his father, talking about his experiences in World War II. And the impact of the diary is extremely powerful, but I do not say what's in it until later in the book.
Mhm.
And it's a very deliberate choice. I want the reader to want to know what's in there. I want them to think I forgot to tell them.
Okay.
I want them to resent me just a little bit and be pissed off just a little bit so that when I give it to them and they see the enormity and the depth of what I give them, it is enormously satisfying and propels them forward into the rest of the story. look at how it's done. The you know if at the beginning of Star Wars somebody in the canteen had said, "You see that kid over there, Luke Skywalker? Darth Vader is his dad." You know, if they
Yeah,
had
that would have
said
been a
that,
ruin.
they would have
That's a
ruined
fail.
one of the greatest surprises in the history of film. We don't want to know everything until we need to know it. What is the moment at which the revelation of that information provides the biggest bang for your buck? You are about entertaining your audience, not informing them, creating emotional change, not educating them. Okay?
And let your story breathe. You, you know, not everything needs a blue style reveal. Even though I thought it worked out great, but yeah, it is one of the favorite things for
Yeah, it
readers about
did.
the book. But does your story need that? I think you have a very interesting dynamic between the homeowner and the squatter.
Mhm.
And I also suggest you read River Solomon's Model Home if you haven't already,
Okay.
which is sort of a non-traditional haunted house story.
Okay.
And I'm not saying because your story reminds me of that, but because it does have some elements of surprise and it's very voice driven. And I think, read good books while you're writing books, is the way I look at it. And that might give you some pacing ideas.
Yes.
Having the dual narrators, because the homeowner will know she's the one doing the stuff.
Mhm.
So you are going to have to sort of figure out how do you braid these two stories together so that you're not taking the wind out of your own sails. And
Yes.
if it's not about the reader really believing that this is a supernatural haunting, it could be a misdirection where the reader thinks, oh, the squatter thinks it's supernatural, but it's really the owner. But the twist is, oh, it is supernatural though, in this
Yeah.
way we didn't know about, and that would be one approach where you're not ruining the story by having two point of view characters who know different aspects of the story.
If you've seen They Will Kill You, it is a
Yes.
great, it's a hugely fun suspense action movie that starts out with a woman getting a job in a New York brownstone. Why she's there, what she's dealing with, is revealed to the audience in stages. If they had shown you what was going on from the very beginning, trust me, it wouldn't have been anywhere close to as entertaining. Once you understood what the story was, I couldn't. I was just sitting there in the theater watching this and said, I can't believe they went there. Man, do I wish that Tanana Reed was here. She would love this. Your job is to create an emotional experience for your audience. What Determining not just what happens, but when it happens.
This
And
is
when
helpful
you
because
engage
Hmm.
the audience is part of the magic. And you're
Yeah,
only
and
going to learn that by studying stories and writing stories.
And I was going to say in the practice, and that's where drafts come in. And that's where you might notice in your own rereading, oh, this is too early for this piece of information. How can I save this? Or how can I make this bigger? Or a reader might tell you, and you grudgingly agree. But I think you're at the point now, if you've been doing the kind of outlining you're describing, you're ready to see where the characters take this story.
yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Does that help?
Yeah,
A great deal.
good.
Fantastic, Jade. Okay. Who's next? Who is next? Hands up. And
Anybody?
anybody? Volunteer or you will be voluntold.
You know the rules.
Okay. Let me take a look at all your smiling faces and let's see who is hiding. Okay, who wants to raise your hand before you get called on? Somebody just bailed. Somebody just literally just jumped off of Zoom
It's
for
like my
fear
students
of being
do.
called. It's like, ah. Okay, so Carrie, you there, Carrie? Carrie is there. Hello, Carrie.
You didn't know it'd be all this,
Hello,
did you,
can
Carrie?
you hear me?
Yes, I
Yes.
can.
Hi,
So, hello, how are you today?
I am I'm doing good.
Good.
Good. How can we be of service to you today?
I didn't. I just, I didn't have a question.
Okay,
She
okay.
said, I
I
didn't
just,
So
get asked to
allow
be
me to
called
ask,
on.
what brought
I,
you here today?
I, I have been, just coming here really, really just to hear you and Tanana Reeves' voice because it's very soothing for me.
Ah,
And, just your positive, reinforcement, really helps me. The last time I think I talked, I was like in crisis, and I'm coming up out of that a little bit.
good.
Thank goodness.
I am still in Ventura. I was on my way back to the East Coast, but I still have some resources here that I need to keep plugged into. And so I just got, I know this is horrible to say, but I just got the okay for housing at something called the Vagabond Inn. Um, but it gives me 3 months of free housing in order to get myself together.
No,
Beautiful.
that's a
Um,
beautiful thing to say.
for
That's
that.
a wonderful win. Our survival issues are primary. Stick somebody's head in a bucket of water and they cannot think about anything except their next breath of air. You
Yeah.
have to know that you've got a safe place. You have to know that, or the panic will drown out all the joy in your life.
And yeah, and that's what's been happening. I went out sick from work and I was just worn out physically, and then I mentally declined. So I've just been asking for help, and along the way of asking for help, I'm also observing how the help comes. And I was just saying to myself, boy, um, if you really were like at your wit's end and you asked for help, say 2 months ago, and it's still not coming, how many people actually don't make it, waiting for the help? And so had to
Yeah.
put myself on a very kind of low vibration to sit still.
Okay, if you go
And
into that low vibration place and you sit still and you sit calmly, one of the first things to say to yourself is, no one is coming to save me. To go
yes,
through whatever grief you feel about that and to find the place inside you that wants to live and is willing to fight to live. And all you have to do to get in touch with that is try to hold your breath until you pass out. Cannot be done. Your body wants to live. And so
yes,
once you connect with the fact that your body wants to live, then you give thanks for a body that is as healthy as it is. And you give
yes,
thanks for the things that you love. So our morning ritual, the 5 minutes in the morning, make contact with your body and give thanks for life. Make contact with your heart and be thanks for the things that you love and the people who love you. And then give thanks that your mind is still strong enough to imagine a better future, to imagine the part of you, the version of you that can walk with power in your life and joy in your life and safety in your life. And you believe in that part of you. And that part of you is going to protect the dreams of the child you were. That you are now the mother of the child you were. And mothers don't stop at anything. Mothers do not stop. If their child is in danger, they do whatever it takes, right up to the end. Find that part of you and now make the commitment that you will protect your heart and your dreams no matter what happens. Do that, and you will begin to have access to the dreaming child mind that has the answers you need, the creativity you need. Because whatever problem you're going through, you're not more than 100 hours of deep thought about being out of it. 100 hours of focused, deep thought. You've got 3 months, spend an hour every day actually creating plans. Study the book. It sounds like money is an issue for you. Study the book, Think and Grow Rich. Be completely committed to being healthy and happy in the world and having enough abundance that you can then turn around and tell other women who've been homeless, who have run from problems, who felt lost. You realize the obstacle in your life can become the offering that changes the lives of others. To be able to stand up and say, I was where you are. And this is how I got myself out of it. Believe in me, sister. Believe in yourself, sister. You can save lives like that. Every single time we do one of these, the thought I have is somebody on this call needs this. Somebody on this call has lost hope. How can I give them what other people gave me? A belief and a love of myself that is so deep, I will not stop for anything. You can kill me, but you cannot stop me. You see this hat? You see what it says? That's me. That's who I am. That's who you are, sister, or you would not be listening to me. You would not have come here if that were not true. Tananarive, is there anything you wanted to say, sweetheart?
No, I think you said it all. That is beautiful.
All
And
right,
wishing
Carrie,
you all
we
the
love
best,
you.
Carrie. Thank you for sharing that,
We want to
that
see you back here. You
personal
come
story
back,
with
and
us.
we will support you every single time you come. We will
Thank
never,
you.
if we are here, we will not let you down. We will be here for you, okay? We are part of
Yes,
your mastermind.
I do know that, and I do appreciate that. And I caught a little bit last week, I think. I think I but anyway, I am doing better and I have hope now. And I am doing that, making that 1 hour in the morning, like
You're
what's my
start with
next
5 minutes. Get the first
Great.
5 minutes right. Go to the Warrior Walk book, and if you need a free copy, just let us know, and we will send you a free copy. We are not bluffing about that.
all
Okay?
right.
So you go to warrior-walk.com. If you can afford it, buy it. If you can't, because we pass that blessing on to other people. But if you can't, then you're the person that we came here for. That we're here for
Okay.
you, not for everybody else. We're here for you. So just let us know that you need that to help you take the next step, and we will supply it to you. Okay?
I thank you so much.
You are so welcome, and thank you, Daniel. All right, Daniel, you asked for my help. Get in, get into the spotlight. Are you taking responsibility for your life, or are you still blaming everything outside yourself? Daniel, are you there or are you frozen?
He looks a little frozen.
Daniel looks frozen. If he can unfreeze himself, he can come back. But right now, he is frozen. All right. So let's see. Who else? Who else? Daniel Daryl Jerry.
No, yes,
Daniel
Hey,
no,
Daryl Jerry.
connection is back. I was cut. I was frozen.
Oh, you were frozen. Yes, Daniel,
Now I'm back.
you're back. All right.
Hello.
So tell me, are you responsible for yourself, or are you still blaming the world?
I think I'm responsible for myself, but in the beginning it was like moving through glue. It slowly gets better.
Slowly, and it will get worse again before it gets totally better. So I will be here. Here's my promise to you. If you will do your 5 minutes in the morning and keep reporting on that, I will be here and I will respond to you. I've made that commitment to you. You've gotten thousands of hours worth of coaching out of me for free because for some reason I like you. I don't know why. Even your bullshit is interesting. So it's like my attitude is, yeah, maybe it reminds me of mine. But
You don't
seriously,
have to live with my bullshit. I mean, that makes it fun. I have to, in the morning, the bullshit feels, and my old identity, it feels like glue,
yes.
actually. It's like
Yeah, you're
dark
trapped in a
glue.
roach motel.
And it took me a while to realize it's not me. It's tons of old conditioning condensed in physical tissue, and it sucks. But it's just debris, but a lot of it.
You're very human, Daniel. There is nothing unusual about you in that sense. What I see in you is the same barrier. Once you realize that you put the glue down and that you put the glue down every day, you can say, I choose to be free. And how do I be free? I'm free by taking responsibility for my emotions. How do I change my emotions? By what your emotions are created by three things: what you focus on, the way you move your body, and the language you use to yourself. This is why in the first 5 minutes, I'm getting you to focus on gratitude. Move through your entire body, focus on gratitude. Think about love. Connect to the people you love who love you. Okay? and that your primary mastermind is you are your own child's daddy now. Whatever daddy issues you have, forget about them. You are now dad. So are you prepared to fight to the death to protect your child? Or not? That's all the
Yes,
kid
I mean,
inside you wants. There
everything
you go.
everything
You can,
else doesn't make any sense. You know, what helps a lot
yes.
is stoic. There's focus on the things you can control
Yes.
and give a shit about you things you cannot control. You know, my whole life situation more or less stayed the same, but I focus on things I can control, and that changes everything. I
It
got a
changes
grip on a book.
everything.
It's called the Latham Theory. It's the same stuff. It's a beautiful book. It's about
Great.
just let the people do whatever they want, but you can focus on yourself.
That's
And
right.
I didn't
And
do that. I was
in
complaining all
terms
the
of
time.
relationships, I know
Hmm.
that you want a love in your life. I know that. I totally empathize with that. My relationship with Tananarive is one of the greatest treasures of my life. Make
I
no
believe
mistake.
so.
It is absolutely that important to me. The way I found her was by not needing her. I was already
By
happy.
not
I was
meeting her.
already
Yeah.
successful. I was already, I could take care of myself. Not only that, but I knew I could get laid anytime I wanted to. There was no sense of desperation at all. And at that level of vibration, I could see her. Had I not been at that level, she would have intimidated the living hell out of me. And that is the truth. She really is that bitch. She really is that powerful. And I would have been afraid of her, or I would have tried to control her. Instead of
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
what I did was humble myself before her and say, you are everything that I've been looking for. Will you take a look at me and see whether or not I can be what you're looking for? If I
Yeah,
could
yeah.
be what you're looking for, I will love you all my life. I will give you more than I've given anyone ever because I didn't even know how much I had to give until I met you. Okay? You have to be completely independent on your own. You do not need her. You are no incel, no involuntary celibate bullshit. You are a man capable of attracting a grown woman. And if you want a lioness, a woman who is sensual and dynamic, but also has one hell of a mothering instinct, then you have to have a hell of a fathering instinct to protect her. You have to be a lion who can walk beside her. She's not going to settle for anything less than that. And if you're not that, then you'll either be afraid that she'll eat you alive, or you will try to cripple her and slow her down so that she won't leave you. What I expect from you is that you be a man, an adult male human being of the species, around whom children are safe. You carry your own weight. You do not chase after wounded birds. You don't settle for women who use their sex to attract power. You looking for someone who has her own beauty and her own power and is looking for a
You
man
know,
who
the,
is
the,
same.
the crazy thing is, I work a lot with children at the moment, and I have a very extremely strong bond with children lately, especially with very young children, and they still accept my authority. And that I love that mixture. When it becomes serious, I can protect them, I can say them what to do, but I still have a playful essence again. And I'm very happy
See,
about that
that's
one because
beautiful.
I lost my
Now,
playfulness.
this is what you're going to use to focus on getting your connection with the child inside you. You have abandoned your own child, or you are
Absolutely.
now working on that relationship. And what I can tell you is that when I betrayed my relationship with my own child, when I tried to get a deal in Hollywood that I should not have gone after, they were bad people. And I very clearly, luckily I didn't get the job. I can't get the work unless I am aligned with myself. It's my blessing and my curse. I can't sell out. When I tried to sell out, nobody was buying. It's like, lucky me. I didn't feel it was luck at the time, but it was the best lesson. I spent a year. The little boy, when I walked out of that room on the Paramount lot, it felt like I was walking out of a hashish den, an opium den. And when things cleared, I heard the voice of that little boy inside me saying, Daddy, why did you have me talking to those terrible men? Don't you love me? And that little boy did not talk to me. I'd always had a great relationship with him. He stopped talking to me for a year. I spent a year of daily meditation. I visualized my favorite play place, which was at Marina Del Rey, the beach. And I imagined myself going there, bringing toys and food, and I would sit there and I would cry and I would talk to him, and he would not approach me. I couldn't even see him. But after about 6 months of doing this every day, I looked, and on the western horizon or the northern horizon, I saw that little boy. I saw him. He's watching me, testing me. Do you really love me? Are you really going to be there, Dad? I knew what he was thinking, so I kept doing it. And 1 week at a time, he got closer and closer and closer to me until I could see him. This little boy standing there with tears streaming down his face. And then finally, I stood up and I took a step toward him. This was like just after weeks and weeks and weeks, and he didn't move. And I took another step. So like before that happened, I would leave the toys and the food, and for weeks they remained undisturbed. I would come back the next day and they're still there. But then after a couple months, I'd come back and the toys had been played with, and some of the food had been eaten. Finally, I took a step toward him, and he stepped toward me, and we stepped again to each other, and then we ran to each other, and he jumped into my arms, and he said, "Oh, Daddy, where have you been? I've missed you so much." And I told him, I said, "I'm so sorry, and I will never leave you alone again." And I never did. I did not care what I had to do. I would not abandon my child any more than I would abandon my son in a burning house. When you have that kind of commitment, you burn away the rest of the world. And you
Yeah,
love
I hear you.
the little
I hear
boy
you.
inside you. And you love the old man that you're going to be on your deathbed, who's no longer worried about getting laid or impressing people or getting reactions. All that's going to matter is, did you act in accordance with virtue? And let me tell you, when you find that, you get the power you're looking for to begin to change the outside world. And you will also become so attractive that the woman of your dreams will suddenly just appear. It's like when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. When the beloved is ready, the lover will appear. Okay? Okay, Daniel. I'm trusting you. Keep going, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah, I go for it. I will die anyway. Why not give my best?
That's right. That's right.
There's no
Memento
logic
mori.
in
You're going to
there's no
die
logic
anyway.
in complaining. I
That's
slowly
right.
get that.
That's right. It's like I was talking to people about feeling safe in the world in terms of self-defense, and my attitude is that a year of training, of martial arts training and a really tough system, boxing, kickboxing, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, plus powerlifting would close the gap between the average man and the average woman. Or if she can do it in 24 hours, if she's got a knife, and she is 100% willing to use it. That's the thing. The willingness to deal with the oogie nature of death, the ability to say, yes, I'll cut you. I will end you. The warrior attitude is not a bunch of techniques. It is, I'm ready to die, and I'm ready to take you with me.
My real issue is not death. My real issue is like not living up to my worth.
That's right.
My topic is self-worth.
That's
I
right.
don't have not built self-worth. Death in had periods where death would have been a liberation, to be
That's right.
honest.
I have been around a
But now
lot of
it is
people on
not.
their deathbed. Daniel, listen to this carefully. I've been around a lot of people who are dying, and the average person knows how to die just fine. They make their peace with that. What people don't know how to do is how to live while remembering that they're going to die. That's what people have a hard time doing. Keeping the fact that we are mortal in mind enough to be sure that every single day we are honoring the fact that we have a short time to live. But it feels like forever if you're getting the most out of it. At my age, there's a way in which my life feels like it's been a blink. And there's another way it feels like it's lasted forever. Because it's so rich. I've done so much. I've engaged so much. I've loved so much. And so time, the nature of time is that it expands and contracts based upon the amount of emotional depth. So I want you to take don't feel that your time until now has been wasted. You're going to invest everything that you've learned up until this time in the future. Now, when you take people on a quest in South Africa, you are teaching them to wake up and live life because you walk that path. You know what it is to be in denial. And when you're talking to people, you will begin to recognize their bullshit instantly because you know how to recognize it in yourself. Okay? Okay, buddy. That's great.
Thank you, man.
That's great progress. That's the kind of
Thank you so
progress
much.
that I want. I hope you guys can see that the same patterns are occurring, again and again and again with people. Let's see, somebody coming up. Otherwise, I will find out what's happening with Jaime. Anybody else who wants to speak, just raise your thumb and I will get to you. We've still got enough time to reach people. But Jaime,
Hi there, everybody.
what'd you say?
So I really resonated with the business of getting to adulting when life is throwing stuff at you and to keep making baby steps. Um, Spring is a month late here in Alaska, and the next 3 Saturdays are the 3 biggest plant sales of the year. So they're 3 of my big money making weekends. And I'm under a lot of pressure to get stuff ready with the weather not cooperating and everything being a month behind. And then with the other areas of my life, other things keep taking my time and attention away from getting ready to make money tomorrow. And I'm getting to show up, try to handle that with kindness and pleasantness and whatever, and not bite anyone's head off when they're adding to my stress of the moment. Um, it's
So, are
had,
these things that are distracting you? Are they actually things that you are responsible for?
well, so for example, yesterday morning, I got a phone call from my husband asking me if I wanted to meet him at the veterinary clinic and hold the dog's paw. Well, that sort of felt like he was talking about an end of life situation for one of his dogs. And by all means, I'm dropping everything to go be there with the animal and my husband. Well, I found out it wasn't one of our geriatric dogs in bad health. It was the wayward, irresponsible stepchild's dog. And Jock decided she needed to get spayed before she had another unwanted litter of puppies. And so she was getting the pre surgery visit.
Yeah, that is
And
not I don't think that's your concern
no,
compared
but
to a third of your yearly income.
I had dropped everything to go be there with him. And what he really wanted, and he didn't ask me, he wanted somebody to help him hold the dog while the vet was examining her because she's a handful. And so, okay, I was there. Today was the surgery for the dog. And he had to drop her off there early in the morning. And then he showed up at my doorstep. And usually, when he shows up unannounced that kind of way, he can hijack my day. And I was able to tell him, here's what I've got on my plan for today. And it didn't involve babysitting the other 2 dogs for you or any of the questions you're asking me right now. I'm going to go do what's on my to do list. You do whatever you need to.
Yeah, and you could also say, I tell you what, tomorrow needs to be a work day, but I will clear my day Monday. Let's spend the whole day Monday together.
Yeah, yeah, but so I'm in the
Just so that
process
he knows
of
that you love him, that you're
yes.
not brushing him off,
Oh,
because he's going to go into
absolutely.
his needy, wounded, abandoned child, and you
Right.
need to make sure that you're speaking to that part of him and saying it's okay.
Yes.
In the
Yes. But
intimate relationship, you parent each other as well as yourself.
and in our conversations this morning about that sort of stuff, it felt really successful.
Good,
Like he
good.
knows I love him and whatever, but I'm able to go about my day. He's doing his stuff. He'll come back this afternoon because I think the dog gets out of the vet somewhere between 3 and 5 p.m. tonight. And I may or may not see him again before he drives back north to Talkeetna with the dog.
Well, you've got a certain
But
body of work that you have to do to take care of business tomorrow, right?
yes,
That's
exactly.
your priority. You got to get at
Absolutely.
least 80% of that done.
Right.
The most important, if you can identify the most important 20% that you need to do, be sure you do that.
Well, and so the big challenge, because I find when I end up under stress, it can have side effect on me that I wasn't prepared for. So I've been busting my ass all week, working hard every day, all week. I'm doing my meditation, I'm doing my exercise. I'm getting a lot more physical exercise because
Good.
being a plant person, it's physical in the dirt. But I woke up yesterday morning out of the blue, got out of bed in gratitude, took 2 steps, and got one of those twinges in the small of my back that signaled you need to move really slowly and really intentionally the rest of the day, or you're going to be flat on the ground. And
So did
so
you do a sun salutation?
I've done all of that, yes.
Okay, good. Because part of a
And,
sun salutation is a diagnostic. You
and
consciously move your body through all the different ranges of movement so that you don't accidentally and thoughtlessly move yourself and hurt something.
and
So it's
so
like feel it.
for the last 24 hours, I have had to move incredibly consciously, incredibly intentionally, because if I move the wrong way, I get that twinge that tells me I'm alive. But if I go slow enough and carefully enough, everything's fine. But
Good.
it's adulting on a conscious level
Yeah, it really
that
is. It really is. So it's like one of the primary goals. I keep looking, is there a perfect goal for me? And I think the perfect goal for me is 1% improvement on the three gates every day.
yeah,
And then I move through my body in terms of my body. What is true about my body? How can I be kind to my body? And how can I make my body more useful? My
right.
heart, what is true about my relationships? How can I be kinder to myself and the people that I love? How can I be useful to them?
So
And then in terms of my career, looking at all aspects of your life through that lens, and then just looking, how can I improve 1%? Works very well for me. I want you to find something that is similar to that, that you can every day you wake up and the first thing you do is ask yourself, how can I take another step towards being the best me I can be?
well, and I'm doing that. This
Great.
has been a week of reflection because on Tuesday I turned 65.
Ah, happy birthday.
And so I'm 65 and 4 days old today. Woohoo! Way to go, mom. And it's always amusing to me because when I was younger, before I got clean and sober, I was on track to become a famous star of stage and screen. Many of the other students I studied with are names you know, and you may have even worked with some of them there in Hollywood. But I got sidetracked by alcoholism and drug addiction in my early 20s. And I sobered up at 26, but I had this fantasy that said, you're going to be famous, you're going to be loved by millions, and you're going to die just like Janis Joplin, Jim Morrison, James Dean. You're going to be mourned by millions, but you're going to die before you're 30. And now I'm 65. I've gotten 39 more years than I thought I was supposed to have, and
Now,
every single day is a gift. My
yes, it
life
is.
my life has never been better than it
Oh,
is right now. And
oh, thank God.
it's because I show up here, I do the suggestions that people here and people in my 12-step groups have been telling me all these years. It turns out sometimes I do have good ideas, but that when I do things with other people and I do things their way, it works so much better.
If
And I
you
think,
choose the right people,
yes,
if you choose
exactly.
the right people.
But
And
but
so you need to become a genius at finding the right allies.
but the other thought that I had in terms of the conversation today, I've worked in hospice a lot with a lot of dying people. I've held the hands of hundreds of people while they've died, and I have consoled their families. And when I think about my own deathbed and what would I wish for a legacy and whatever, um, the kindness out of the three gates is one of the most important things to me. Being kind to myself and being kind to other people is what I would hope is much of my legacy. I had last year at the big spring plant sale, one of my gardening friends pay me the nicest compliment I've ever received in my life.
What was
And
that?
they came up to me and they said, "I feel better whenever I'm around you."
There you go.
And so,
I
I'm
want
just
you I want you to focus on something. For the next month, I want to see if you can find three people who need you, who are drowning swimmers who are about to give up hope. And I want you to share your journey with those people
Oh yeah.
and save them.
Yeah.
Okay? Because I believe you've got something inside you, Jaime. You've got something that makes me think you you could be a star.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, and
In
I
your way.
think this life writing and getting these stories on paper and in print and submitted is part of that. It
There you
really is
go.
part of my journey, and it's not letting the immediacy of a plant sale tomorrow morning interfere with a sentence a day. That's that's the adulting juggling that we're all
That's
talking
right.
about.
5 minutes in the morning.
One
A comment.
percent.
Yeah,
That's it.
just
Just
1%. Okay, thanks a lot, buddy. And that's wonderful. Very proud. So this is what we do here. Tananarive, can you come back on screen, sweetheart? There she is. So you have any final comments? It's been a good time today.
So, sorry. Sorry, I'm eating my lunch. No, really, I thought this was great today. So good to see everybody. So glad to hear about everybody's progress. So really just go out and make yourselves the hero or the heroine in your own story.
The hero in the adventure of your lifetime.
Bye.
Everybody unmute yourselves to say goodbye to the family.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye,
Thank you all.
everyone.
Have a good weekend.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so
We'll see you
much.
next week.
Thank you so much. Have a good